Hey, this is Eddie, your Muay Thai instructor. Do you know nothing about Muay Thai, or you have a lot of free time on your hands with the quarantine and all, or just want to know what the sport is about? Then this channel is for you. I'm going to be covering the fundamentals and basics of Muay Thai, and as the channel grows, I'll be covering more common and advanced material. Now, without further ado, today's lesson is stance. All right, let's get started. So, stance. You want your feet about shoulder width apart, if not a tad bit wider. Now, with your least dominant foot, you're going to take a step forward. So, if you're right-handed, you're going to take a step forward with your left foot. If you're left-handed, you're going to take a step forward with your right foot. Now, common terminology is going to be, if you're right-handed, this is called orthodox. If you're left-handed, this is called southpaw. So, I'm orthodox. I'm a bit ambidextrous, but I'm going to go over the more common, which is right-handed, orthodox. So I took a step forward with my least dominant foot, and I want to imagine a y-axis and an x-axis between my legs, almost like a cross. There's going to be quadrants. There's a giant line running straight this way, and there's another line running left to right. Now I want my left foot on the top left quadrant of my axis. And I want my right foot on the bottom right quadrant. If I'm southpaw, it's going to be opposite. Now when I stand, or even when I move or do Muay Thai, at any point I never want my feet touching the same two lines. So if my feet are touching the y-axis, whether it be, I throw a jab and then I throw a cross right here, then I'm going to lose my balance left and right. If I'm extremely square, for whatever reason, and I'm touching this axis, then I have no balance back and forth. So it's very important that I stay staggered for balance purposes. All right, now excuse this camera angle, but feet are very important. So when I'm standing, I want the weight on the balls of my feet, but I want my heels to barely be off the ground. From this perspective, this is what it's going to look like. Not too much. From the side perspective, this is what it's going to look like. And when I'm standing, I want to alternate my feet left to right. And what this does is it moderates my weight. So I'm not too front foot heavy or almost like a boxer stance, and I'm not too back leg heavy. There's some Muay Thai practitioners that stand like this, to elevate your lead leg for blocking. We'll get into that later. But for right now, I want you to just pitter back and forth, alternating left to right when I stand. If I ever get off balance as I'm moving, I'll discuss movement in a later video. But if I'm moving and I'm off balance, I can readjust and figure out what's comfortable for me, what feels safe to what feels balanced. All right. So now there is a discussion of perspective or where my opponent is at. Whenever you're doing Muay Thai, there's always going to be something that you line up against, whether it be an opponent, your pad holder, or even just yourself in a mirror. There's something that you have to stand against. Now, when you're squaring up to yourself or set opponent, there's going to be a direction that both you guys are facing. I'm going to use this scooter of my son. I got a 4-year-old. This scooter is looking at me, and I am looking at this scooter. But as we try to take advantages, I move this way. My scooter is now looking at this perspective, but I still have the scooter between my legs. It's very important that I don't just move here, and even if my opponent is over here, even though my opponent was once looking this way, I am now between his legs and he is no longer in between mine. So if this person is circling around and doing the move on me, all I have to do is simply turn around. Now, when you're fighting, there is someone who takes the center of the ring. The person who takes the center of the ring or has, the center of whatever your space is, moves less. Why? Because all they have to do is turn and pivot in the middle while your opponent has to circle around the entire ring. And vice versa. I can still be in the center and create angles, and he just has to move less. But if this person is not moving and I move to the side of them, then I am in the advantage. So whether you're striking, whether you're moving, or whether you're just lining up, be sure to keep your opponent between your legs. All right, so now what do I do with my hands? So if you have gloves, pretty simple, just put your gloves on. If you don't, you're shadow boxing, or you're doing this, you're practicing, you're gonna roll up your fingers, have your thumbs on the inside of your hands, like so. Not here, not here, here, you'll break your thumbs. So very important that you hold them like this. your dominant hand, you're gonna put right beneath your cheek or your temple, right about here, pressed up against your face. The other hand, your least dominant side, which is going to be your lead, is going to be floating at the same level right in front. So this is what it's gonna look like from side profile. And so, keep your elbows tucked in. I know once you start hitting, you're gonna have the tendency, especially when you start hitting hard, to flare out your elbows, or you got a big chest, etc. You're gonna hold your hands like this. Try not to do that, it leaves your ribs exposed. So keep your arms tucked in, carry the weight of your arms with your skeleton, and try not to do anything with your muscles. Arms tucked in. Now, there's going to be a height positioning that is appropriate. If my hands are too high up, or if I'm standing too erect, I'm going to expose my ribs for body shots. If my hands are too low, my head is exposed. So how do we correct this, Eddie? Well, you're gonna have to do a small crunch or have a curvature in your spine. What this does is it makes myself a smaller target and it makes things a little bit easier for me to reach. So, hands are about the cheek, elbows are tucked in, but as I do the small crunch, I'm able to guard my ribs and my head with just the length of my forearm, making myself smaller, being a little bit more efficient. Now, this is a really tight guard. I don't want to be in this position all the time, only when I'm cornered in, but even when I stand, this is where I want to be. I don't want to be too tense. I don't want to be too relaxed. Just about so. Now, my head positioning. Another common mistake is people love looking at what they're hitting or doing. What will tend to be happening is they'll be doing this, they'll start off in the mirror, they start hitting pads or they start shadow boxing, and they'll pop their head up, exposing their chin. Or they'll be in a really tight guard, and the moment they start hitting, this is exactly what happens. A punch gets thrown at you, and it's natural reflex to pull away and close your eyes and extend your hands and pull your head up. These are the worst mistakes you can do. Hide behind your arms, hide behind your shoulder, and protect your chin. You want your chin tucked in and almost gaze right at their chest. And what this does, as I'm looking down here, I'm gonna use my peripherals to be looking for striking weapons, which is going to be hands, kicks, knees, elbows. From this position, as I have my head down and as my gaze is about, chest level, I can take into account of all the things that are going to be a threat to me. So punch comes, I could recover, take distance, lean back, block, kick, etc. All right, guys, that concludes our videos. Please, please, please comment. That's the whole point of this series or channel or video. I like there to be a lot of interaction, a lot of feedback as the channel grows, or if you guys have just questions about anything, I can cover that on my next video and or create the content geared towards the level that you guys are at. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that, and give me some feedback. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.